afternoon, and this is Small Biz David, and I want to read something first, and then I will introduce our featured entrepreneur. Brooke is an exceptional educator and consultant on social media. She is remarkably thorough in her approach and has customized a social media plan based on our specific business needs and goals. Brooke is easy to communicate with. Thank you for being that way, Brooke. Very responsive and goes above and beyond to help out. Brooke's in-depth knowledge and friendly attitude makes her an absolute pleasure to work with. Shara Shelton from USA Technologies had to say that about Brooke. And Brooke, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today to celebrate entrepreneurship. What are you going to do on the panel with all these guys, Brooke?
I'll bring it on. I'm not scared. I was a tomboy growing up. I was like the lizard queen, snake queen, frog queen, played in the dirt. I had a worm farm in my drawer. I'm all good. Robert Frost is one of my favorite poets. The Road Not Taken is probably my life. I've always taken the less traveled path. I decided to do my honors thesis work on social media because there were no classes. So for 2 years in a self-study with 2 advisors at the university, I studied social media like a crazy woman, basically. I educated myself on how the platforms worked, what worked well, and what didn't work, and then formulated my thesis, which, you know, again, not to get off on a whole nother tangent, but it took the social penetration theory, which basically says that we as human beings form communities and relationships based on disclosures. So, Randy, if you and I want to get to know one another, we disclose information to each other. And as that trust builds, we disclose more intimate information. So psychographics, right? That's what I was looking at. It was a very data-driven study. I looked at psychographic information with 3 different online communities on Facebook, all of which were nonprofit. And basically what I found was that the successful community building happened when the brand essentially sought out those psychographics. They looked to, disclose information to the community and asked for disclosures back so that they were actually building online relationships with these people, and they had great success in doing so. And so, basically what the thesis ended up saying was that, yes, you can form an online relationship with someone. You don't have to meet in real life. And whether you're non-profit or for-profit, you can definitely use this to make money, to build relationships and then build funds, essentially. If you are using psychographics within your community or in your newsletter marketing, whatever it may be, I'm just saying online marketing, you can really start to find out about the opinions, beliefs, attitudes of your community and know how, therefore, then to market to them better. So, who doesn't want better information? Demographics paint a would-be picture, and psychographics tell you what is. My definition of an influencer is someone who not only participates, but has the ability to influence others, right, in that participation in social media. And so him being an influencer, if we've identified Alex as an influencer, then your next step would be to start to build that relationship. Start to ask him questions. Pick up on some of those psychographics. Hey, Alex, we see you tweeting maybe on a tweet chat about Brooks Brothers using that hashtag. Join in as the brand using that hashtag and start to pick up, notes on Alex, what he likes, who he talks to, who runs in his circles. And when when as Brooks Brothers or whoever it may be finds that information, if they use it correctly in conversation, which is why our whole tagline is think conversation, not campaign, you can eventually, not in the beginning, it's kind of like dating. You can't say on the first date, hey, Alex, will you go out and tell all of your people how awesome we are? But on the 3rd date or the 5th date or whenever it feels right, you can start to say, would you be interested in promoting our brand online? Or, have you ever promoted any brands online through your Twitter channel. And if the person says, yes, great, can you tell us who? Go and do your research. You know, it's just all about, I think, actually caring. And then once you actually find out that you do care, which could also mean you just want to make money, right? You care about making money, that's fine too. But B, then you build the audience. And then once you have the audience, you have to start to filter through that audience. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of data. It's a lot of conversation. And some people just don't want to do the work. And that's fine, but that's why you're not going to be successful using social media. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mark Schaefer, but there's lots of other people, like Mark, for instance, who talks about reciprocity with social media. And that's such an important key with social media. And you're telling me you met this woman, you guys have similar fields, and you're saying you guys would help each other out. And that's exactly what happens online. I mean, if you want to really break it down, I'll tell you exactly how I did it in my thesis. Anybody can do this. And it's so funny to me because it's not amazing. It's just, in my mind, common sense. But again, you're either one of those people who really cares about other people and you want to help other people, or you don't. And I'm not saying you're a bad person if you don't. I'm just saying social media is going to be a little bit harder for you to grasp. But when it comes to psychographics, there's 4 levels, okay? There's cliches, opinions, facts, and feelings. Cliches, let's pretend like you and I are in the elevator, David, and you say, hey, Brooke, how was your weekend? I say, oh, it was great. How was yours? It was great. That's really cliche talk, right? Even though you could say it was a fact or an opinion, it's cliche. It's water cooler talk. It really is just on the surface. It means nothing. When we're grading psychographics, we get nothing. That's 0 points. If you come in and tell a fact, right, a disclosure is something that means the other person doesn't know this information. If you give a fact, if I tell you, David, my name is Brooke Ballard, that is a fact. However, you already know that. So we don't count that, right? That's a fact that we already know. If someone didn't know it, then we can count that as a fact. And that's a very small way of exchanging information. We're still not really getting there. Opinions and feelings are the 3rd and 4th. Those are the deepest levels that you can get. When I start to give you my opinions, when I start to say, I like Mark Schaefer, and I like him because he talks about reciprocity, I'm giving you opinions about myself. Those are political beliefs. You're starting to kind of build who I am, right? You're starting to kind of take shape of who Brooke Ballard is. Whether we were sitting here or not, face to face, you could start to build one of those personas, right? A buyer persona or a person persona, whatever you want to call it. Now, when I tell you my feelings, when I tell you I love Alex Sellis, you know, that's my boyfriend. I love him. When I start to tell you my feelings, we're getting as deep as we can go. And so what ends up happening is things always start on the surface and they build. It's kind of like a layer cake, but eventually you get to feelings. And you usually don't get to feelings as a brand online unless you start to ask for those feelings. The Special Olympics would do things like, tell us how you feel, right? They're asking for the feeling. They're asking for that psychographic. Tell us how you feel about the word retarded. But it was amazing because everybody had their own opinion, and it wasn't right or wrong, but they had these people expressing their true nature of who they were on this wall on Facebook, right? The point is, you could see these people even though you only had an avatar or a name to look at. It was just amazing. And that's where psychographics, I feel like, come in, and why it's so important to understand like the depth of those psychographics.
Hasn't social media's likes pretty much distorted what you've just talked about?
You can't grade a like as a psychographic because it's not enough information. And so if we were to put a like into the psychographic database, we would call it a cliche because it's become cliche. It doesn't mean anything anymore to like something.
One of the 1,000 emails I got today that I didn't want to get, he said, I get 40 cents for every like that I get. I can show you how to do the same thing. Now, how is that going to destroy the system?
Well, in the end, it's up to the people, which is so awesome. The one thing about social media, you can have these people that buy fans and make themselves out to be something they're not, and claim expertise and do whatever. And in the end, it's kind of like you have to take the stance of, I don't care, because eventually the system will root them out, because the system is made up of the people, not the people like the government, the little guy. Everybody has a voice. Everyone.
That's an extremely refreshing thing to hear from you, Brooke, and I know you feel that way. We've had that conversation before.
And then as far as taking psychographics from online and putting them offline, I think, yeah, so that I could start to build not individual personas, but an overall audience persona, so that I could understand as a brand what my Facebook audience persona was. You know, overall, they're this type of person. On Twitter, overall, they're this type of person. On Pinterest, they're this, you know. And then I would take that and create some sort of multi-channel marketing campaign geared towards those different personas.
Once again, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'm sure all of us will be hanging out again next week sometime. Take care.
Thanks for having me, David. Appreciate it. And
My
thanks
pleasure.
for coming. Loved the questions.
Bye-bye.
Do it all day. Bye.